Welcome back for week 2 of the WomanIsHer mini-series on the Coachable podcast. I'm Tori. This is Avery. And we are here to tease you a little bit with a conversation that I think will get you thinking. Maybe it might get you thinking in a direction that you haven't thought about something in a while, or maybe it's going to spark a conversation for you or something that you want to think more deeply about, which is sex really spiritual? And this is something that I think can be deeply unpacked and should be. But what first comes to mind for you when you hear that question? Is sex spiritual?
Yeah, from my experience and my learning and understanding with Tantra, the biggest thing I have found is how deeply spiritual and transformative sex can be when done intentionally and with presence. To the point of I've had psychedelic experiences through sex alone. And
without psychedelics,
without any psychedelics, totally sober. and the person I was with was also experiencing that same state and level of consciousness where like at the end, we were both just laying there receiving wisdom as if we'd just done some psychedelic journey together. And I think that also when we shift the paradigm of sex, especially for women, of it being this medicine journey, this innate way to connect to our spirit, to our soul, to our essence on a deeper level, how different would we all approach sex if we did that rather than, I think culturally, especially for women, it's been more of like a duty or a job oftentimes, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. It's like, well, I have to keep him satisfied or else he's going to look elsewhere. I have to keep him happy. And so just how differently we can move through the world, even if you're single. Like for me, ever since shifting the way I show up with sex as a spiritual practice, I don't just have sex with anybody anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I mean, young me, sex worker me, I was very primal. It was just fun. I didn't care,
Right.
And so, but it's such a different experience when you meet it from this place as sex for spiritual transformation, sex in order to meet deeper parts of yourself even.
Yeah. It's just like, think of it as sacred for me. And I did not even though I was conditioned to think sex was something God wanted only you to do in the context of marriage. But I always knew it was sacred. Yeah. And that it was an exchange of energy between two people. And I was, I went through seasons of about being super, super mindful of that. And then, but as I started to have my spiritual awakening and my consciousness journey of like, just when you start to become more conscious, you start to ask yourself the question of why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, what purpose is this helping me or is this hurting me? Yeah. Am I doing this with intention and mindfulness and conscious choice? Or am I doing this on autopilot? Like, am I doing this without much thought or consideration about how it's going to affect me or this other person or my future in any regard? Right. And I think that's the nature of just naturally maturing and becoming more self-aware of like, does this help me or does this hurt me? But I'll be frank, it wasn't until I had sex with a man who was conscious, because a conscious man is a present man.
Yes.
That I realized how spiritual sex really is.
Yes.
I mean, I had no idea. I was like meeting God. I mean, not him, but it was
through him.
A divine experience.
Yeah.
And that has totally shifted the way I consider even approaching sex with another person, because the standard has been raised so high at this point. You know who you are if you're watching this. That nothing else will do at this point.
Totally.
Like, yeah. So,
well, and in a sense, like how from the tantric lens, it's like how we view that.
Can you explain what tantra is?
Yeah. So, I mean, in essence, tantra is the belief, practice, philosophy that everything is interwoven and interconnected, and everything is medicine if we choose. And it's all here for our greatest good, for our greatest expansion, meaning there's no real, and this is where it gets controversial, there's no good or bad, good or evil. It all is. And so within that, one of our premises is that your erotic life force energy is your most potent, powerful, creative energy. And so when you can harness that and run it through your body and move from that place, that's where we become the conscious creator. And that's that inner union. So that's the other piece is, so my background is there's many lineages of Tantra. So before we have all the Tantra people saying things in the comments, my background is non-dual Shaivism. And within that, we believe
that's the non-dual, no right, wrong kind of perspective.
And it's also, we believe that we are hermaphroditic souls, meaning that I am masculine, feminine, light, and dark. There is no separation.
I subscribe to that.
Yeah, it's the totality within me. And yes, I might have a polarity that in this manifestation, this soul,
incarnated
this body,
as a female. Or
I enjoy living more in my feminine, for sure. And so from that place, that knowing though, when we move, that's that self-sourcing, that sovereignty, that agency, that autonomy. I am everything within me. So why would I want for anything? And so moving from that place, when we meet a partner, like you said, who is in their divinity and their consciousness and they can be present, that's when we get to experience this manifestation of divine union. In partnership. And so in a sense, I had a partner as well that was very much like that. And we even would have a practice at times where it would like I would call him God and he would call me the goddess, because like when we were making love, it was like I was seeing God through this person and they would see the goddess through me. And it was like we were bringing these energies to each other and manifesting each other's lives. And even still, when I date, if I'm dating a man intentionally, I will receive messages. And I'll tell him, I'm like, it's like God is speaking through you and they don't even know they're doing it. But like, I will be receiving lessons and insights from them just by their existence. Like God is speaking through that masculine counterpart for me to receive the messages.
I mean, we're always exchanging these like codes with each other. And especially when we are entering into that sacred space and exchanging energy, because we are, whether you subscribe and believe or not, like energetic spiritual beings first. We just think and are overly identified with our 3D personality, like bodies. We're spirits. We are souls that have incarnated and are playing dress up as human beings. And that's the beauty of, I think, the more that we awaken to that truth within us, the wholeness within us, that we no longer have to search outside of ourselves for that in another person. And as I have become, that's become more of a embodied truth versus just a thought. It's something that I have experienced and I have remembered so many times that even though I forget like who I really am and that I am whole and that I don't need anything outside of myself. There are times I forget and I get codependent and needy and I'm like, I want a little attention and all the things. But that is, talk about powerful. So powerful. It's so powerful.
And you feel it. You feel it. Everyone around you feels it. And, it's like circling back to sex being sacred. I believe that from that place is where we find that depth and like profound experience, not only with another, but even with our own self-pleasure, rituals. And so you can, and that's all it really takes in anything, there's this kind of something in Tantra we practice is, can you make your life sacred, the ceremony? Can you make your life the ceremony? And something I've been playing with lately is I've always identified mostly as an artist or a creative, it's been my thing. And I was like, what if I could make my life, my art, like my life's work is the art.
Yes.
The vibration of when people speak my name is what I've created in this life is my
color
artwork.
to it.
Yeah. And I want it to be like, for me, what I identified is like, I want when I'm gone and people speak my name, I want them to think of unconditional love and possibility. Like I could do anything.
I do feel that with you. I
Oh
do.
well, I think that that's why we have a resonance, though, because I feel that with you.
That's the mark you leave on me, which is that there's more is possible.
Yeah. And I think that's also a testament to you that you can receive that. Because I feel from you, I feel that rooted power and that like, which is funny because with our backgrounds we talked about too, it's like we bring that balance.
Yeah. If you didn't get the last episode, go listen to that because we come from very similar backgrounds, but have went in two different directions based on our upbringings. Yeah. So we bring different perspectives to this conversation.
And so, it's like when you come from that, now, like, I know who I am and you enter into erotic energy. That's where we tap in to this limitless possibility within ourselves, that creative energy. And it really only takes presence, intention, integrity, and just like being with it, being with yourself. And that means sometimes not being attached to the outcome too. That's a big one. Don't be attached to your orgasms. Please stop. Let go. Stop being attached to an orgasm.
Yes.
We could go on a whole topic on that.
I said the other day, I made this like analogy about feeling our feelings about orgasms. And I think this was like the universe giving me some breadcrumbs that like I was going to end up doing this program because I was like, trying to rush yourself through like a breakup process or a heartbreak or a grieving process is like, someone going down on you and looking up over and over and be like, are you there yet? Are you almost there? It's like, stop putting pressure on yourself. Stop putting and rushing yourself through a process that takes and like is a natural process that takes time. And I love what you were just saying. It's just like the pressure doesn't help.
No. And like, there's so much more to erotic energy and pleasure. Some of the most erotic experience. Oh, I could melt.
I know when I started talking about it, I couldn't stop smiling because like now I'm.
Because you feel it.
I want to. I'm like, oh no.
Some of the most erotic experiences I've ever had. Actually, most of the most erotic experiences. I mean, one was written in a blog. We can maybe even link it. It's so hot. I'm sure my friend wouldn't mind.
In our next episode, we're gonna read the blog.
So it's like they were fully clothed. I never got undressed. And that's one of the things too, is like, as you learn to tap into this, and this is a whole nother thing we could talk on, is like, I have full on energetic orgasms at this point. So it's like, I can play with somebody and just have multiple orgasms and never get undressed and never be penetrated physically. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, once you let go of the overly identified piece, especially because a lot of us were brought up on porn and all this idea. It's like, oh, it has to look a certain way. We have to be naked.
Looks like a penetration.
Yeah.
That's a male and a female body
and
doing X, Y, and
is
Z.
The goal.
Yeah.
And when you let go of that, possibility opens, play opens, expression. I've had orgasms where I bawled. Like I was like crying and it was the release I needed, and that's when it becomes sacred because we're not attached to this orgasm, how it looks, how it feels.
Because when an orgasm is performative,
oh God,
it's not
even an orgasm.
Real.
You're not even orgasming.
You're like, it's fake. It's fake. Well, it's when it's performative. It's like literally like.
It's fake.
And I know so many women who fake orgasms.
I did it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's what I have to do to complete this whole shindig so that he feels good about himself.
Yeah. I'm done. So I just want this to be over. So I'm just going to make him feel good so that this can be done.
So that we don't have to have an awkward conversation about me not finishing so that he doesn't feel like less of a man.
If the guy even cared most of the time, they don't even care. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm a deep, deep believer, and I would love to see our culture and paradigm shift to this understanding of sex being a sacred portal to our own deeper understanding of ourselves, as well as others, and consciousness, and like the way to expand consciousness through intentional, sacred sexuality.
100%. That's what we're going to be diving into more of inside the Womanizer program and throughout this mini series. So make sure you're subscribed to the show, that you're following Avery and I on social media. And if you want to sign up for early bird enrollment in Womanizer, this is going to be the opportunity to get the most bonuses at the lowest price possible. We also, at the end of this program in 2025, we're going to be offering an in-person immersion experience with us here in Las Vegas. You have to go through the program in order to be invited into that experience. So if you want to learn more about the Womanizer program and how you can sign up, go to the link in my bio or in Avery's bio. You'll be able to get all the information. We'll also have it linked in the show notes of this episode. Make sure you come back for next week. There's more to be discussed. We love you. See you next week on the Coachable Podcast. Bye.